A Fox News segment went off the rails after a guest brought up Donald Trump's infamous dinner with white nationalist Nick Fuentes. Fox News host Harris Faulkner recently had on network contributor Tammy Bruce and Jonathan Klott, who was a former communications director for Senator Joe Manchin. And he said in a segment where they were talking about SNL poking a little fun at Biden, which is fine, that he would rather have a president that makes occasional, gaffes and misspeaks than someone who is a racist that has dinner with Nazis.
I would rather have a president who maybe has a stutter once in a while than one who spews conspiracy theory, racist nonsense, and has dinner with Nazis.
Well, we just heard him call a number of Republicans Nazis and racist, so I think we can put him in the category of willing to go there.
I didn't call Republicans. Hold on. I didn't call Republicans Nazis.
He had dinner with not going to work.
He had dinner with a Nazi.
And they are taking it personally. Look at these numbers.
Tammy,
it's not going to work.
Exactly what I said.
I'm going to have to let you both go.
He had dinner with a Nazi.
I had even said I had never heard you talk like that. And look, 5 seconds later, I was wrong.
Desperation.
Sadly.
It's desperation. Pointing out the fact that he did have dinner with a Nazi. What do I mean? Trump hosted well-known anti-Semitic host Nick Fuentes and rapper Kanye West for a dinner at Mar-a-Lago back in November of 2022. Okay? Kanye, by the way, afterwards went on Alex Jones' program to talk about how much he loves Hitler and that everybody needs to just leave the Nazis alone. Seriously. So those are the guys that he had over for dinner, okay? He invited Kanye or Ye or whatever he wants to call himself today, and Ye brought Nick Fuentes, who is an avowed anti-Semitic, misogynistic, Christian nationalist conspiracy theorist. And after that happened, by the way, yes, there was some outrage, a little bit of bipartisan outrage, right? But you still have prominent Republicans that refuse to criticize Trump. And by the way, there were calls for Trump to at least go out and condemn Nick Fuentes, and he wouldn't do it. So what was wrong about what Mr. Klott said? Okay, he was absolutely correct in pointing out, hey, this is a guy who has dinner with Nazis. Okay, but no, Tammy Bruce says, you're just calling all Republicans Nazis then, just because a lot of us seem to have harbor Nazi views and Nazi-like views and has dinner with Nazis. Yeah, well, that would actually be pretty accurate, And again, he was just criticizing who Donald Trump chose to have dinner with. Now, I think, personally, that if you go to dinner with two Nazis, there's actually three Nazis there in that room. Okay? I happen to think, though, that being a white nationalist or a Christian nationalist happens to be a deal breaker. I would not like to have dinner with you if you were one of those. Okay? We're not going to break bread over the table. Okay? Just not going to happen. I'm not really interested in hearing about how the Holocaust was invented, or that there's white genocide and that there's a migrant invasion that's going to come and replace every white person. Not interested, because it's not happening. It's not real. Now, that said, I'm not saying that all Republicans are Nazis, but I do say that Nazis tend to identify more as Republicans. You think that maybe there's a reason for that? The fact that they seem to be far more open to Nazi and white nationalist ideology? Again, you have the Republican Party platform, nationalism, white identity politics, being against critical race theory, DEI, etc. Then you have the censorship, going after books, banning books, especially on race and on LGBTQ plus content. And by the way, bans on LGBTQ people, like, trans people, trying to ban them from just literally existing. Then you have the racism, and you have the xenophobia, etc., etc. That's what the current Republican Party represents in its values. I think it's pretty clear Okay? And they get super triggered when you point that out, which is kind of funny. And so, of course, there are different people that are, have different reasons for trying to cover that up. And maybe they get some sort of personal gain out of it, whether it be financial gain, or they get to be a spokesperson allegedly for a discriminated group. And they use that platform to say that, oh, this discriminated group, it's actually their fault that they're discriminated against. But if they stopped being this way, then maybe we wouldn't be discriminated against so much. Right. Okay. But again, that's what the current Republican Party represents, and pointing that out shouldn't at all be controversial. And yet, since those things are not very popular, being racist and anti-Semitic and, Nazi-like, not exactly popular here, it's what the right wing desperately wants you to ignore, which is why they get so worked up when you call it the way it is.